Welcome to another edition of Inside PressBox presented by Maryland Mutual Mortgage. I'm your host, Stan the Fan Charles, and earlier this week I visited Pimlico Racetrack and talked with Tom Chukas of the Maryland Jockey Club about the Preakness, the Kegasis marketing campaign, and the whole infield experience. We'll also take a look back at two other local events that took place recently, the Capital Athletic Conference Lacrosse Championship between Stevenson and Salisbury, and Mud Chasers, a 3.5-mile race through a mud-filled obstacle course. It sounds like the job description of my guest, Terry Hasseltine. He's the Director of Sports Marketing for the state of Maryland, and he's here to talk about his continuing efforts to use sports as an economic development tool for the state of Maryland. I know that was a little long-winded, but did that description of the Mud Chasers event sound like your job?
Well, it's a classic description because today we were actually entertaining a client up in Fairhill, up in Cecil County, who has a marine military style running series and like to go through obstacles, through mud, through water, anything that can make the course more challenging. And it's more of a partner challenge, making it through the endurance course. And it's about 10,000 people coming in for a weekend to participate in this activity.
Now, you're constantly looking for new events, and I want to talk about new events, but in the last week, 10 days, we lost the former governor of this state, the former mayor of our city, William Donald Schaefer.
Yes.
I know you didn't know him well. You met him a couple occasions, but you could speak to a little bit about your job today and how what he did 20 years ago has made somewhat easier.
Well, he obviously, because of his vision and is willing to strategically partner with the right people, the development of the stadium complex that now sits over at Camden Yards allows me to be, one, employed, but two, allows me an opportunity to go out there and sell and market, two great assets for the state of Maryland, and two assets that actually resonate globally when it comes to recruiting events to the state of Maryland and the city of Baltimore.
Now, those two stadiums, Camden Yards, Oriole Park at Camden Yards, is now in its 20th season, amazingly.
Yes.
And the football stadium is already, in about its 14th season?
12 or 13.
12 or 13, that's right. They didn't start there. The life expectancy of stadiums, can that be crept up by taking good care of them the way the stadium authority does?
Well, that's the trick of them. I mean, you build an asset of that nature. The maintenance is almost as more relevant than what the new bells and whistles you put into it, because if you create the right structure and the right foundation, you can modify the venue as times change. I mean, look at the new high-def boards that are in both facilities. Mm-hmm. They did a seating bowl renovation in Camden Yards here recently. They're putting in some new signage opportunities. They're redeveloping the whole suite level and creating some more social, gatherings places in the environment. So if you have the right bones, you can modify the rest of the structure.
A couple of years ago, we had an event in Baltimore that was very popular. It was kind of a younger, skewed event. It was the Dew Tour.
Yes.
And in fact, you and I talked. You actually lost it out of Louisville to Baltimore. Mm-hmm. But Baltimore lost it, or Maryland lost it, but it's getting it back, but not in Baltimore City.
No, actually, it's coming to Ocean City. We're very fortunate through the relationships in the industry, knowing Chris Probillo and his team with the Dew Tour. When he saw that I was back in the state of Maryland, he reached out to me and said, hey, we're looking at a couple different opportunities. We're looking at wanting to be maybe in a beach environment, real neat, made for television backdrop. He goes, do you have anything to recommend? I said, have you looked at Ocean City? Basically has the oldest skate park in the United States, something they won't use during the tour, but the legacy of skateboarding in the state of Maryland, because of Ocean City, it was a natural draw for them to explore, and they want to bring in some maybe surfing / boogie boarding type of event to add to what is already very successful skating and BMX park.
Now, soccer, the last couple summers, as a prelude to trying to get the World Cup, the U.S. bid to the World Cup and getting Baltimore as one of the cities, we had hosted big-time events in Baltimore in both summers. Not going to do it this year, but the state of Maryland does have a big-time game down at FedEx Field.
Well, in the world of football, as it's called everywhere else, we probably have the biggest match, in the globe. You have FC Barcelona playing Manchester United, two brands that resonate throughout the world at a very high level. We're very fortunate that we are blessed with, several quality stadiums. We have both M&T Bank Stadium and FedEx Field that sit here in the state of Maryland, and they're two great assets. And the fact that we are still being represented in the soccer world is very important, because that allows us in the future to still continue to recruit at both stadiums.
Give me an update on the Grand Prix, the race, the Indy style race that's coming Labor Day weekend.
Well, the Baltimore Grand Prix team is doing a tremendous job with their partners in the city and BOPA and Councilman Cole and the efforts there. They met a lot of the mid-level sponsorships that were just announced here over the last month or so. In addition, the ticket sales are moving as though we're progressing towards the event in early summer versus end of summer. So you put those two things together, we're on the right track, we're on the right path, and we're going to have a dynamic events.
This is going
Labor Day
This is
weekend.
going to have people talking.
It's going to have people talking. This is going to be one of those events that, between what we've done in the soccer world and now what we're doing with the Grand Prix, have really changed the identity and the culture of how people perceive and talk about sports in the greater Baltimore area.
And what about, we've got NCAA lacrosse coming up at the end of May.
Most definitely, we're getting into that postseason play right now. We're really excited, that on May 7th, you'll hear the teams announced who are going to be, playing to qualify to play right here at M&T Bank Stadium. We're pacing really nicely with ticket sales. There are still tickets available, so get out there, call the Ravens box office. We're looking, to set that precedence. Games times are in prime time this year, so that's going to be really exciting too.
One last thing, I get calls periodically on my radio program on Fox 1370. When will we have a new arena in Baltimore City? Would you say in the next 5 to 7 years that's a realistic hope?
I think you will see the development of a structure arena-wise in the next 5 to 7 years. A lot of talk, a lot of discussion going on, a lot of doing the due diligence to make sure that whatever is done in the right manner and it's got the right backing and the right partner sitting at the table to ensure that it's going to be successful when it's built.
Pleasure to have you
My
on.
pleasure.
I know you had
Thank
a
you.
long day today. I appreciate your
My
coming
pleasure.
in. This portion of Inside Press Box has been brought to you by the Maryland Lottery's Double Play Scratch Off. Scratch the front, peel the back, plus enter non-winning tickets at mdlottery.com/doubleplay for a chance to win cash and great Orioles prizes.